Here's a fun fact for you. Did you know that most small businesses do not find social media fun, interesting, or useful for their business? Well, you shouldn't be surprised at that, and neither should all those small businesses, because most of them don't do the most basic thing you need for any marketing to work. They don't have a social media strategy. Welcome to episode 29, Social Media Strategy. What do we mean when we say that you don't have a strategy? Well, basically, many companies just go online and they do whatever they do. They throw up a picture one day and they write a funny post the next day, and 3 weeks later they go on a different social media and they do something different and totally unrelated. The reason that you need a strategy is so that your social media presence becomes a valuable resource that can make your business successful. The best part about social media is that if you do it right, you can get a lot of promotion for a very small amount of money. Many people get very frustrated about their social media presence. But for the most part, that's because they haven't actually figured out what they want to do, where they want to go, or how they're going to get there. So here are 6 or 7 things you need to know about your social media strategy. Thing number 1, why? You need to have a why. In other words, a purpose. Why are you on social media? What are you trying to achieve? Are you trying to get new clients? Are you trying to get people in the door? Are you trying to get people to talk about your business, your service, or the problems of the industry that you're trying to solve? There's lots and lots of different ways that you can use social media and that they can become useful for you. But first you have to have a purpose. Just like anything else in business, rule number 1 is find out why you want to do something, and that can drive a lot of what follows. For instance, it's easy to get attention for 15 seconds on social media. It's much more difficult to have a planned presence that lasts for years and pays dividends for a long time. If you think about any social media, part of the success that people have is having followers who continually come back again and again for a long time. And that way they become influencers. If you want to be an influencer, you have to work on it. Nothing happens by itself. Thing number 2, always start with a mailing list. Your email list, we've covered this before, is your single greatest resource. It can help you build your social media, and your social media can help you build your mailing list. Once you have a mailing list, you have a resource that you can call on again and again. There are tools that allow you to send out a newsletter and then have it automatically be posted to social media. Make sure you use those tools, make those connections. Thing number 3, pick one medium and go all in. So figure out what your primary social media outlet is. Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever it might be. If you're a business, I highly recommend that you either choose Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, or YouTube. If you're an individual trying to sell to individuals, then Instagram and some of the other social media might be really good for you. But if you're a business trying to reach other businesses, I recommend that you choose Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So pick one of those and put effort into it. Build your audience, build your messaging, build your personality, build your social media presence. Then you can decide to choose a second or a third or a fourth medium and build your presence there as well. Thing number 4, once you have a good start in one medium, add another, slowly with intention. One of the reasons social media is so effective at building a presence and getting a message across is that people begin to see who you actually are and whether or not they want to do business with you. So you need to have consistency across your social media. Don't have one personality on YouTube and a completely different personality on Facebook. Now, having said that, you can be more personable on Facebook and open up maybe some of your personal life, your family, and even some of your humor, and then show more of your serious side on LinkedIn. Those two personalities should be consistent with one another, but they can basically be two different sides of a cube. So you don't have to be exactly the same on all of them, have a slightly different view. But remember, the reason you need multiple social media is that when people are hanging out on Facebook, they're not looking to do business per se. So that's a good place to build name recognition. When they're on YouTube, they want usually entertainment or education. When they're on LinkedIn, they mostly want business to business, right? So the things that people are looking for and the different people who are on these social media mean you have to have slightly different messaging to put across the same single public personality for your company. So as you can see, it's not easy or obvious how you do this. That's why I say you need to start by creating a strategy that you think will work for you. Thing number 5, add automation. Automation simply means that you use a tool such as Hootsuite or something else to help you get more mileage out of your social media. Remember, most of the time, most of the people are not paying any attention to you. I'm sorry to tell you that, but it's true. What that means is that, think about Twitter. If somebody doesn't see your tweet, then it's gone. Literally, they're never going to come back. No one's going to scroll down 7 hours of Twitter to go read your tweets. They're just not going to do it. The chances that they're going to go every day and click on your profile and see what things you've tweeted about in the last day are very slim. So it's important that you repeat your messages. Remember, most of the time, most of the people are not paying attention to what you have to say. So when it comes to marketing, you need to get that message out there again and again and again. I have an administrative assistant who goes into Hootsuite and looks at my blog posts and then repeats little snippets about that blog post 8 times, 8 days apart for a total of 64 days. So basically, everything that I put out there lasts, it gets echoed for about 2 months. And you can schedule these things for very precise times of day. I've got one friend who insists that everybody goes home at 4:45, and so her posts come out right then when people are winding down their day and getting ready to go home, and so they see all this activity right at the end of the day. So other people have a different strategy. Some of them do it at 6 o'clock in the morning and some at 8 in the morning, right? You got to figure out what works for you, but automate that process so that you do something once and it gets echoed throughout the universe. Thing number 6, create a schedule and stick to it. In other words, there needs to be some predictability. I like to post up a humorous pun every day on Facebook. I don't do it on LinkedIn. I don't do it on YouTube. I don't go live or anything like that. I just put up a little pun every day. And it's pretty predictable. If I miss a day, people begin to ask, hey, what's going on with that? I have a newsletter that goes out Monday morning first thing and has for more than 15 years. I have a podcast that I do with a couple of friends that goes out every Tuesday. These videos and podcasts for Cheeky Sales Coach come out every Wednesday. On Thursday, I have a podcast called the SMB Community Podcast. On Friday, I do a standard operating procedure video on YouTube. So I cycle through each of the various social media and I put things out consistently so people can expect stuff and they will find it. Some people email back and forth with me or have a banter on Facebook because they feel comfortable with me because I've put out enough of my personality that they feel like they've got a relationship, and so they interact. That's when social media becomes very, very powerful. But you can't just do one thing on one medium on Monday and another thing 3 days later on a different medium and then another thing 4 days later on a different medium. You have to build a schedule. You have to be consistent. If you're going to save money on marketing by doing social media, then you need to put a lot of energy into it. Just because it's free doesn't mean that it's useful. You have to make it useful by using it efficiently. And when it comes to making promises of deliveries, start small. Start with something that you're sure you can do. So don't promise a daily video if you can't do a daily video. Don't promise a daily podcast if you can't do a daily podcast. Promise something monthly, and then once you get the hang of it, you can move it up to weekly. You can move it up to twice a week if you choose to, but make it predictable. Make a promise that you know you can keep. Finally, number 7, when it comes to strategy, you have to stop, evaluate, fine-tune, rinse and repeat. In other words, measure whether or not your social media is helping you to achieve the things that you had said you wanted to achieve way back in thing number 1 when you built your strategy. You have to evaluate, is your strategy working? And how are you going to measure that? Is it the number of people signing up to a newsletter? Is it the number of views on YouTube? How are you measuring your success? Ultimately, if you're tying this to sales, success is related to sales, to dollars coming in the door. Your newsletter will be successful when you can send a newsletter and the cash register rings. And some people throw out these numbers, oh, you need 1,000 dedicated fans and blah, blah, blah. Well, what you really need is a really good newsletter that people open and read and click on. And at whatever level the financing is and whatever level the numbers of followers are, you will have success if you are consistent and if you set goals, move towards them, and have a strategy to make your social media support your activity. For the Cheeky Sales Coach, this is Karl Palachuk wishing you the best of luck in everything you do. Call to action. Like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you won't miss a thing.